Indeed, it's already evening for us.
Yeah, it's hardly fair when there's only one person who it's morning for. It's kind of awkward.
Nothing can be done.
Oh, all right, good. Okay, well, let me put the meeting minutes link in our chat in case you don't have it. Everyone on the call should have access. And so if you do, and I guess even if you don't, be sure to help take notes if you would. And if there are things that you want to talk about today that you don't see on the agenda, fill it in. Let's talk about them. Good. Okay. So we're about 4 minutes after. There are probably enough of us on the call to get going. Couple of notes. One, we record our calls and post them on YouTube. So just as a reminder to everyone. And as is traditional for anyone who joins one of the calls for the first time, they get to introduce themselves. And so, Kalichi, I'm not sure if you've been on this call before, but if you're able to, we'd love to have you introduce, have you say hi to the others on the call.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I don't know if you can hear me. Hello. Okay, introduction. My name is Kelechi. I'm from Nigeria, and it's an honor to join everyone in your project. I'm basically kind of new to tech. I am in the finance sector. I studied accountancy, but I started working with a construction firm as a project manager. But I love tech. I've always loved everything that has to do with tech. So I decided to join in, and I got introduced to open source, and I started contributing bit by bit just to get me acquainted with how tech is being run. And it's been an interesting ride, and I hope I'll learn much more with how do you pronounce with layer 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So
Yeah.
that's just a little bit about me.
That's fantastic. I have to say that your first name is less foreboding than your last name. But you're
okay.
your first name is great.
Yeah.
And actually, I think people say the same thing about me. My first name's only three letters, so they usually can say it correctly.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
While you've been doing some accountancy and working in finance, do I recall correctly? You have dabbled with a bit of Python, a bit of like NumPy.
A bit of. I'm just learning.
Sure. Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's boy, there's a lot of people that get started with Python and then sort of stop with NumPy, or rather, they find so much value in what they're trying to get done with a library like that. And so,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is good. Well, to get into the softer end of tech, open source is the way that things have been going and are going. So this is it's a good place to jump in. There's some nice folks on the call. There's this, we have a couple of calls a week, and or a few, and you're welcome to join any of them. The one on Friday ends up being a slightly different agenda normally, and that is that it's fairly broad and kind of open topics just on relevant events, or sometimes we have like partners come in or other people in the
Okay.
ecosystem kind of present, and so it's kind of nice. It's a good. Sometimes people get to show off some of their work there. We end up doing a little bit of showing of work on this call, and a lot of times it's a bit more unpolished, if you will, or rough, which is, and not that anything ever needs to really be
Okay.
but a lot of times people are just sort of showing things that they're
Yeah, it's
working
fine.
on. So, nice, good, okay. Well, very nice to have you, Huichi. This is good. I'm sure we'll make a mess of things together.
Thank you. It's Kelechi.
Oh, Kelechi. Okay. Like,
All right.
okay. It is with a K. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Kelechi.
K.
Kelechi.
Kelechi. So more
It's
two
quite
A's.
easy. It's quite easy to pronounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get yourself worked up.
Nice. Very good. Well, let's. What do we have on the agenda today? We've got a couple things. I'm not sure if Anirudh is on, so I'll move this to the bottom in case he's not. But Beneath, you're on with us today, right? You might be able to talk about the visual topology a bit. What else do we have? That's so we've got Shriti, you're on the call. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, hey Lee.
Good morning.
Sure. I actually need 2 minutes to set up, if that's
Okay,
okay.
sure. Let's see. Yash. Nikhil, we talked quite a bit about your performance test profiles last time. And I think, and then actually maybe that's a good topic for just a moment, Nikhil. So you ended up having a subsequent conversation, I think, with Kush. And I believe what I'd heard back from Kush was that after he'd watched the recording of the meeting, he was on board, I think, or just, it was, he had a lot better understanding of what was trying to be accomplished. And part of that UI work there, I think, is waiting for Kanishkar's backend to land. Is that right? Is Nikhil with? Yeah, Nikhil. There's no change since last time we spoke on that, is there? And Nikhil might be having some audio problems at the moment, so we'll come back. I haven't seen a change, but and I don't know that we've got a screenshot in here from last week, but it's an exciting area, and actually one that Vineet, I think we'll talk about in just a minute, actually. All right.
Hi,
Hey, Vineet.
yes, we have been working on visual topology, as you said.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah. Actually, do you want to? I think a fair number of people have been introduced to what that effort is. Do you want to talk about it for a moment? Do you want
Uh, Actually, it's good if you tell about them. I have a little idea about that
to? Okay.
right
Very
now.
good. Sounds good. Let me grab a couple of screenshots. So everyone who has run Meshery understands that there are some static images in the app, and there are some tabular data. There's a few charts. If you get far enough with Meshery, you actually see some other charts that are drawn by Billboard JS, which are kind of cool. But my point is, what you don't see just yet is more of a visualization of your mesh and the workloads. And so Anirudh and Beneath are able to finally able to come to look at a project that has been on our backlog for a long time, and it's a project to create a visual topology. Let me show a couple of diagrams that will help just to explain the project, I think, much more. So there's an open source project today that is called Kiali, and it's been largely stewarded by Red Hat for about 3 years now. And it's a visualization project that shows you the way that a service mesh is configured. In this case, specifically one service mesh, Istio. Istio is the service mesh that Red Hat supports inside of their product, OpenShift. And they draw out a diagram that represents individual services and some information. So in this case, it's an application that's running. It's got 4 services. It's just a simple book catalog. It's a very simple app. It has a product page, details about it has basically a book catalog with books in it, products, details about the book, reviews on the book, how many stars it got, reviews like things that people say, ratings, how many stars it gets, and a database to support it. And it works as a simple app to help demonstrate how a service mesh works. And in order to help us mentally understand what's going on in the infrastructure and how a service mesh is redirecting traffic requests between these different services, this visualization is very helpful for that. So this has been a nice project, and it's been one that I've been watching since its inception, and have had some of my teams in the past create visualizations in advance of that other project, or just because these kinds of things really help people understand what's going on in their infrastructure. So this is an older one that I had a team make, and it's time for us to make one in context of the Meshery project, or in context of the Layer 5 projects. And so Anirudh is a community member that had been here some long time ago and had needed to take a break, and he's back. And Beneath, I think Beneath, you're back, right? You're kind of wrapping up. Are you in between? Are exams done for you? Are you like?
Yes, yeah, they're done now.
Okay, good. I've been tracking the final exams for many of you for a while.
Yes.
I've just been.
There are many.
Good. Anyway, and so this is kind of the start of visualization for to potentially to be held within Meshery to show people what's going on in their infrastructure when they deploy a service mesh. What does it look like? Are there workloads communicating with one another? And so we've been looking at different interaction styles that we want to have with this visual topology. And so these nodes are meant to it's just a generic term, but they're meant to represent a service. And so this is just Anirudh, in this case, playing around with a library to help visualize. This right here, if you can see that this circle with like kind of 3 sections, what happens, the interaction here, you'll see it in action in a moment, but what happens is, as a user, you take your mouse, you click on the node, or you click on the service, and it would present you with a context menu for invoking an action or getting additional details about the service. And so he's just kind of working through getting familiar with these things, and eventually brings in, again, it's not very functional, but he just sort of brings in an example of what that begins to look like, and the traffic communication between services and how that might look like if you were to click on one and look at the statistics of it, or maybe you'd want to run a performance test. So he's bringing in a new menu item, visualize, and that's good. It's kind of trying to get the library that we're using and Meshery to work together. And he recently sent over. I'm gonna try to play this. Let's see if it. I don't think there's any audio, so that's fine. But let's see if we can. If you guys can see it. So this is just a short recording of him showing kind of this in action, and that part right there was pretty fast. So I'm gonna back it up and replay it. But what he's doing is he's hovering over a node, clicks on it, so it turns blue. Clicks on it, holds it down, and he gets a context menu. He chooses load test, and when he chooses load test, he's showing a modal, just a simple form to fill in to invoke a performance test, which is great. It's a lot more of an intuitive interaction to have. Like if you want to run a performance test, and today in Meshery, you don't get this visualization. You go over to a form, you fill in the form saying that you'd like to run a test from node 4 to somewhere else. And it's kind of up to you to know what node 4 is, and without Meshery visualizing that for you. So anyway, I thought we would share today just some early prototypes on what it might look like to have visual topology. So this is something that Dhruv, I think we spoke of recently. This is a project we've been long waiting to get to, and so Dhruv, just the work that was being looked at there. So basically, with I think Vineeth, with you and Dhruv and Anirudh and some others focused on building out mesh sync in the back end, we might be able to finally make some progress on that project. Thoughts, Dhruv? Did that look like what I had tried to describe in the past?
Yeah, it did.
Good. Yeah.
It can be a bit more flexible. It was a bit rigid right now, but yeah, I can see the concept right now.
Yeah. And I won't even, there's a long list of things to improve. I won't even, but maybe there's just some important things to quickly note about that effort. And that is that, and Vineeth, actually, maybe if you have it handy, a couple of things. One is that there's a library that we're looking at using very heavily for this. It's called Cytoscape. It's actually,
Yes.
but then there's another one that looked promising, and it is Anirudh would call it a port from
React.
From pure JavaScript. I'm writing this wrong. From
Ours is basically it is implemented using Next, right? It's server-side rendered.
Say that last part again.
It is server-side rendered, right? Our website, Meshery UI.
Yeah. So then So I'll try to find this link, but part of the challenge I think was Vineeth, refresh my memory. So there's a number of things that we server-side render in.
So actually, Cytoscape runs on the browser.
Okay.
It should be run it runs on the client side. So we should look at differently. The React actually
There's a library called React Sidescape. Hello.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm trying to find the link.
So, but it doesn't work now. As
And,
our so go on, Lee.
no, I was just gonna clarify which aspect of it isn't functional. If it, like, and that's to ask. So here's the link to that library, and beneath, I think what you're saying is like, hey, the library itself is dysfunctional, or are you saying
Like Anirudh said that that React Sidescape will not work for us since ours is server side rendered. We are using Next. He told that.
right?
He tried using basic JavaScript bundle. I don't know what what it is. I will see it in a minute.
Right. Yeah. So this library is or the concept of it is very promising because it'll be nice for the Meshery app, React app, to be able to interface with this visual topology in a native way and have first-class understanding of the elements that are being visualized. That's the exciting part and promise of a library like this. But our challenge it's still a challenge I'm trying to understand better. But beneath it's that, hey, we're using React, we're using Next.js on top of React, and we do server-side rendering with Next.js. Because we're doing server-side rendering and because Cytoscape has a JavaScript front-end library, there's a
Yes, it runs on the browser actually. Client side rendered. I don't know if you can integrate it with this React Sidescape library. You have to explore in that. I don't know if that works.
Right. So
You said Kiali, right? Kiali repo.
right.
They use React and it fits their use. Like React, they use React Sidescape library because they are using React for that,
Nice.
not
Okay.
Next.
And so they do use this library.
Yes, they use this.
Okay. I guess the question becomes, yeah, so this particular project, we're just on the very beginning of it. And it's a really important one. And there's a reason why we haven't started on it earlier, because it's hard, because we don't have all the right back end synchronizing with the infrastructure to be able to display real-time views, or rather to feed the UI the real-time info that we want to. And so that's why we haven't started on it yet. I'm gonna pull it back up for maybe for Fanji to be able to see what we're working on. So while I do that, I guess I would say Dhruv, Nikhil, beneath Tanuj, others who are React capable. You might have an opinion on this, on our challenge of like, knowing that we need to incorporate this Cytoscape JavaScript client-side library, that we're not, we're doing server-side rendering using Next.js. This might be an area of research for folks.
If Anirudh comes in, it could be better. Like he knows better than us. Like
Okay. Okay.
More.
Maybe just something for us to queue up or tee up today. I'm sorry, tee up for some research this week to discuss next week and see if we can. Yeah. But any initial comments from Nikhil, Dhruv, anyone else? Dhruv, Tanuj? No? Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Nothing as such. Yeah, I guess previously it was been bugged, but as far as I remember, I used that library to means get a hold of that part much earlier, but wasn't able to do further with it. Don't know if that isn't working because I haven't gone with the backend. I was just making up the UI part to see if it works or not. So maybe it's some issue with the means the server side renting. So yeah, we need to do a bit of research there.
Right. Okay. Well, Dhruv, just when you thought your research was over, man, just when you thought exams and studying was done, it's time to go back and study.
No, it's good. This is good research. Already studying.
Yeah, good. Yeah, fair enough. We should. So on this particular project, considering that it's a challenging one, we probably do need to meet about it and maybe dedicate some time to it. So those that are interested in this, please signal. We will, because we'll establish another meeting. And we'll probably take over or add this to the existing mesh sync meeting because because the two efforts are so correlated, they're so strong. Mesh sync is the Kubernetes custom controller that will enable the feeding of information for this visual topology to take advantage of. So that meets on Tuesdays, a little bit earlier than this. Anyway, I'll certainly follow up to make sure that anyone who is interested in the project is aware. Speaking of being interested in various projects or and joining different meetings, I think hopefully everyone's aware that, and I was just telling Kaleche, whose name I now enunciate correctly, about the other meetings that go on and the fact that there's a layer 5 calendar. It's a community calendar, so you're all welcome to it and welcome to any of the meetings that are on there. But for those that are interested in the visual topology project, it's probably this meeting that we'll on Tuesdays that we'll try to dig into that topic on. So okay, good. Moving on to other topics. We'll have to do this to Anita, Miss Charles. Have to say a quick hi. Say thanks for joining the call and ask if you want to introduce yourself real quick to the others on the call. Every first timer has to.
Oh, okay. Good evening, because it's evening here. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Anita Charles, and I'm very happy to be in your midst today.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah, you'll have to put up with my good mornings, I think. It's it's been a year of me trying to figure out how to say good evening, and I just can't do it. So anyway, very, very nice to have you here, Anita. Thanks for landing your first PR, I think, or maybe two, or I'm losing count now. Before even getting onto a call, that's great.
Oh.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good to have you. Okay. Other topics that we have. Josh, do you want to show this today? Talk about some progress that you've been working on.
Yeah, the latest progress has been deployed on Netlify. If you could that show.
Sure. And feel free to steal the ball from me if it's easier. The proverbial ball, I guess. I don't even know. Is there a standard link for Netlify? I always just go to use the last pull request. Whoa, yeah, there's the footer. I guess that wouldn't make sense, right? It would have to be that specific. So yeah. So sorry. Go ahead, Josh. Do you want to tell some of the others on the call about what this effort is, what we're trying to do here?
Okay, so we are basically building a new next generation website for the layer 5. We are building it from an on Gatsby and Strapeye, and we are using a already made theme called Appian. This is the theme. So currently we are migrating things from the older layer 5 website to the newer one. And so I have been working on the footer since a few days. Okay, so if you see the old footer we had, there were few things which were duplicate, like the projects section we also had once in the header part, and also we had the same thing in footer again.
Oops, sorry, I think I was not sharing the whole screen. Let me. So sorry. Yeah, please continue, Josh.
Yeah. So we it was, so I tried to make it short and like only the things which are not mentioned somewhere else, or which are like very much suited for the footer, I have added them. And I have a bit changed the layout of the things, as you can see. So if there are any suggestions for the new design or something that you would like to add, it's they are welcome. And a few things are to be changed, like the contact part and the languages part needs to be updated. So there is the same issue is also there in the earlier website. As you can see, I have opened up an issue in the layer 5 repo even. The German and the Indian flags are there are not appropriate. So for I just copied the flags from the older site, so there were the same issues here even. So I would be updating them and the contact part. Apart from this, if there are any suggestions, then I would like to go on with them.
Nice. And then so that's an invite for everyone who's on the call. Josh is trying to take what we have on the right hand side in our current site, and we're migrating to this to a brand new site, and it's like we're halfway in the process of changing out a bunch of boilerplate stuff to move everything over. And so Josh right now has just been focused on the footer. Anybody have comments or things that you think would be an improvement, here? Does anyone, does anyone, I question, I was one of the individuals that had initially sort of supported and suggested the use of something like this language feature. And Shriti, if you could, or Tanuj, or the other folks that join the website's call on Mondays, we have Google Analytics on the Layer 5 site. It would be really nice to know, does anyone use this feature? Like, because I guess, Josh, part of what I'm just an open question for me is this helpful to anyone? Do people, should we bother migrating it? I guess is the question.
Yeah, sure.
I'll look into it.
Thank you.
Also, for the first timers, I've opened up an issue regarding the footer in the layer 5 website. So if you would like to tackle it on.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
And Josh, remind me what the current issue that you found in the current footer. What's the issue?
Yeah, it's the same for the languages part. As you can see, two of the flags are like I have seen they have been used from W3S org, but the two of the flags aren't appropriate. As you can see, the German flag and the Indian flag. So if this component has to be kept, so these two needs to be updated in the older website also for now.
Gotcha. German. Deutsch. Okay. Oh, any other comments for Josh? Anyone think that this layout? So needs improvement?
I had one question more. Like as Nikhil stated that if it would be good if while going on the mobile view, this Twitter part should be at the bottom. So currently I have used this below layer 5 logo. So in the current layout, it won't be possible to have it on bottom while moving to the mobile view. So if this thing is to happen, like if it is there is some compulsion or something like moving this thing to down, then we can do one thing is we can move the contact part above at the place of the uh, tweet section, and the tweet part can be brought down so that while turning on to the mobile view, the tweet goes below all the links that are more of. So there are two options, like if everyone could suggest what would be the better option, as Nikhil has already asked if it could be moved down.
Yeah, means I'm not sure. I have that feeling. Means maybe I'm wrong. If anyone else has any other opinion, if it's okay to have it below the logo itself, then we are good to go.
Hey, why do we need the layer 5 logo in the footer? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's helpful to take a look at other websites.
Yeah, in websites I've seen, so I tried to add. So here, if we see the contact part is along with the logo, and so if we move on to the second option and bring the contact part along with the logo, then the Twitter section could be moved downwards.
Right. I bring up HashiCorp in part because they're a partner, and in part because they have some really good UI. Like, it's gotcha. And I think Peace was just mentioning that, like, when we get into the mobile view, I think it's when we're in the mobile view, like it begins it's elongated. Like maybe the line height here is sort of the spacing.
Yeah, if we can have two columns in the mobile view as we have in the current website.
Okay, that would shorten it. That would cut it in half. Okay. Nice. Well,
Also, as you stated that we need to go to the theme color in the issue you opened up.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And by that, Josh, do you mean that you're in need of some information about the colors, or just it's an open task for us to recolor this theme?
Yeah, so if anyone has some suggestions regarding what kind of color scheme or something simpler, or if anyone has something.
Aren't we going with the layer 5 brand kit? The official color scheme?
Yeah, we should. I think in lieu of any other, in lieu of us bringing on a UX designer, it might be the case that, yeah, that we should be, you know, trying to shoot for these same, for the brand guidelines that are there now, these same colors. It doesn't show up on the black background. The one color that's being used now on the Layer 5 site that isn't listed in here is really the primary call to action color, which is this kind of dark yellow. There should be a secondary call to action color, and thus far, it has kind of been this green, and you can see its use right here. It doesn't draw your eye. Like if you just sit on the page, the thing that, or the thing that I would tell you draws your eye in the most would be this color. So when you come to this page, like, hey, you are, gravity draws your eyeballs over here because this is such a distinct and bright thing. There's a secondary, this is kind of like your primary action color. The secondary action color, if you will, or as it is right now, is this green. And it's kind of funny because these used to be a lot less in your face or in your eyeball. And this, like this is actually what, that's actually probably what should be yellow, because that's really, we do want for people to go check out all the projects. We love them all equally. They are all our children. The one that we put the most effort into and that we consider is the most helpful to people probably is Meshery. I think the challenge with, well, I don't know if it's a challenge or not, but part of the reason that isn't yellow right now is because everything else up here is green, I guess. Anyway, there's a lot of discussion to be had as to all of the design elements and the way that the new site will end up working. I think it's to Shriti's point, it's safe for us to use the same colors as is now. That doesn't mean that we won't refactor on the new site, but it's the right starting point. Any other comments other than just to say that people like Ruth are famous? Apparently, they just. Okay, good. Okay, cool. Well,
hello. Hello. Sorry, I'm late. I miscalculated the time. Okay. I don't know if we've welcomed. Do we have any person, Anita, join the call?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please do.
Oh, like she's here. She's here already. Like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question.
Yeah. So, aside that, I have there's an issue I saw this afternoon that I would need some clarification on. The issue is about the issue template, adding an issue template. So I made a comment actually on the issue, but I don't know if you could check it out. Like I'm quite confused on the issue.
Sure. Yeah. Do you recall which?
On layer 5.
Layer 5 repo. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, add new issue template. Yeah, that.
Oh, right. Yeah, this one is confusing. Yeah, yep. I mean, it's confusing. Okay, so great. So thanks for asking, Ruth. This is exactly what this call is for. This one is confusing, I think, for two reasons. One is because what the heck an issue template is and where it goes is, first of all, that's a question. And then second of all, the reason why this one is also confusing is because we have two large branches inside this repository. So this is a good conversation to have. Okay, so this repository is the Jekyll site that has static content that drives the current site. So anything that you see in here, you will be able to find in this repo. And okay, good. Well, as people go to work on various aspects of this site, and they're working through issues in the layer 5 repo, we end up creating any number of issues. When someone, maybe they find a bug, or maybe they're asking for something new, when they create a new issue, we try to give a little bit of a helpful guide as to things that occur fairly often. And so it's not infrequent that someone wants to make an update to the landscape project, because it's just this long list of data points about the various technologies. And so it frequently needs updated. And so what's been done is an issue template has been created such that it's a bit more of a specific guide for like that thing. And by that, it's right here, it's like there are instructions included for how to update the landscape. So this is an issue template for the landscape, which automatically adds the appropriate label. And what controls this behavior on GitHub, and what controls how many issue templates we have are things that sit within this .github folder. There is an all caps folder called issue template. And so for each of the 6-ish or so issue templates that are issues that we saw, like there's one called landscape. It correlates to exactly what we were just looking at, which is when I clicked on create a new issue to update the landscape, it automatically assigned this label, and it does that just based on this. So, okay, so good. So that's what an issue template is. That was the first part of confusion. The second part of it, the confusion is, well, it goes to what Josh was just kind of talking about, and that's that here we have the current version of the layer 5 site. Good, sort of nice, sort of not, kind of needs an overhaul. And so some of you are working on overhauling it in this very early theme. We're kind of moving some things over, and we're switching, we're sort of creating a new version of the layer 5 IO site here. And this is a preview of what that looks like. It's like we're just at the start of doing this. And where we keep the code for this new site is it's actually in the same repository. All of the code that drives this new site, it's actually in the layer 5 repo. You won't see it by default when you're just browsing GitHub, because the new code for this site, it's under a different long-lived branch. So instead of it being under the main master branch, it's under one called layer 5 next generation, or layer 5 NG. And when we switch to that view, well, it's an entirely different code base, basically. Like it's a totally different site. This is all React based stuff with Gatsby, whereas the other site is all Jekyll based with with CSS, HTML.
Yeah.
So that's the second part of the challenge, is like, okay, so under the layer 5 NG branch, when we go into the .github folder, we go into the issue templates, oh, there's only 5 issue templates. And it turns out, like, eventually when someone wants to update the like, for example, when someone wants to update the landscape, well, some of this template should be the same. Like, yeah, it's still appropriate. We would still label it with a landscape issue tat label, but but things like the link to the instruction, like the instructions themselves, will be different, because it won't be Jekyll, it'll be Gatsby, and so, Gatsby. So how far off did I leave us from? Yeah.
Okay, so this means that you just have to edit the already made templates to update it to saying, okay, this new site is made with Gatsby. Is that what you mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. And now that we're talking about this, I think there's one not so small portion of this that I sort of glossed over, and that is, okay, great. So Ruth will likely be successful in creating an update, adapting, like you said, the issue templates for the new site. However, I don't think we've actually written what those well, we've kind of written those a little bit, but Josh and Tanuj and those that are, I mean, Ruth, you're welcome to write up those instructions. But also I would say some of the others that have been working in this area, you owe Ruth or sort of implicitly, you owe Ruth a link to where those instructions are. So does anyone want to partner up on this so that Ruth actually has something to point to? This might have been done. When we go into this branch and we look at contributing.
Is the contributing file already there, or it's yet to be written?
It is there. And it does have some Gatsby specific instructions, thanks to some of the people that I just named. But it's actually still a bit incomplete, and that's probably okay because we haven't migrated some of this stuff yet, so we really don't have instructions for it just yet. So Ruth, I guess to be more concise, it's probably appropriate and just fine to just link to the contributing.md in that branch.
Okay, so this particular this file that is open now, it's the contributing.md file, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay, you're dropping it. Oh, cool. Sorry, I didn't get the names of the people working on this.
Yeah, totally. So thanks for saying that, by the way. One thing I'll say that the collection of people that I'm about to prattle some names off for, a lot of them meet on Mondays on a call that like explicitly focuses on this set of topics on this new website. And so some of those folks are Josh, this good-looking young guy here, Nikhil, Dhruv, Kush occasionally graces us with his presence. And then I can't really move my screen around, but Shridhi, who's on the call right now. And last, but certainly not least, I think, is Tanuj, who's on the call. He's been very early on trying to help advance that effort. And there's a number of other people who I didn't say, but if you get a hold of any one of those folks, I'll write down the list so that you can.
Okay, noted.
Here's maybe just a quick link to those meeting minutes that will so very good. Thank you for asking that, Ruth. Of the few minutes that we have left, Shridhi, do you want to take the ball and maybe share some of your work?
Sure. I'll just present the site.
While Shreeti is presenting, I had a question when I saw that site. Why didn't we made a subdomain within the layer 5 itself, layer 5 domain itself for SMTS?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Nikhil, it is entire. Yeah, I would very much so selfishly like to do that. The reason that we didn't is because the intention is to donate the project to the CNCF. Yeah, it's to help
Okay,
inspire.
right.
Yeah. To help inspire others that would be participants, that it's not in the clutches of layer 5 directly. Yeah.
Because I felt that because when I was going through the site, it didn't seem like, yeah, okay, it's been done by layer 5. So yeah, kind of felt like that. That's why I
I
wanted
know.
to ask.
Trust me, it's all over my. Yeah, these are good comments. We should absolutely make sure that of the work that all of you in the community put forth on any of the projects, that that work is being recognized, that you as individuals are being recognized, and that the community at large is being recognized. And it's actually it's a making sure that we get that right is really important. It's something we give a lot of thought to. So the footer on that site, Nikhil, or other areas might need to more prominently call out.
Yeah.
Tree, you're leaving us in suspense. We've got to.
Haley, I'm having a little bit of a problem presenting. I'll just join the meeting again. I'll take 10 seconds.
Okay. All right. So context for what Shriti is going to be showing, and that is that one of the projects that we have going on, we're going to hopefully demo tonight at 2 a.m. my time on a talk at KubeCon. KubeCon is the semi-annual conference for all things cloud native, if you will. One of the projects that the community has been working on is this service mesh performance specification. And the work is being done in this repository. We're finally making it more of a real project by giving it its own small static website. And it too is based on Jekyll. And that website is here in the docs folder. And so when Shriti comes on, what she'll show is that we've just got done registering a domain name to be able to pull up what that site looks like.
Hi, Lee.
Yep.
I have something to say. There's an issue that was raised, issue number 522 for layer 5 about adding sitemap plugin. So I don't know if Tanuj can throw a little light on that, because I think I want to take it up, but it's still a little kind of complicated.
Totally. Tanuj, you want to talk about that one?
Yes. So we are using Gatsby for the layer 5 NG. So there are certain set of plugin we are going to use, and one of them is the sitemap plugin, which will basically create a sitemap in production for the web crawlers to crawl the website. So currently the goal is to integrate that plugin from the how it says in the documentation. I haven't actually looked at it yet into the into as one of the plugins.
So
yeah.
Okay. The layer 5 site is Gatsby.
The layer 5 NG, a new site.
And rather layer 5 NG, yeah, it's Gatsby.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 I'll look into it much later today and see what I can do about it. But how do I access the file?
Yeah. There is Tanuj, do you I might recommend this just because I bet this question leads to another question to another one, just because it's such a shift in Tanuj, do you have a couple of minutes after this call maybe to give Kaleche a quick intro?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, that'd be really helpful. I think that just, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good. No. Okay, fair. We're about 3 after, and a long time ago, we had a really bad reputation for spilling over the hour, and we finally right-sided that. And so I'm hoping to stick to not making people late for their next call. So we'll end here. Shriti, we will miss your demo, but we'll get it next time.
No issues.
Yeah. Anyone have any last minute items that they need to bring up?
Really short. 2 a.m. 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. In how many hours starting from now?
Yeah, that's a good.
Approx. Or approx 3, 4, 6.
14, 16 hours from now.
16 hours. Okay. Good. Thanks.
Yeah, and it'll be it will be
like a preview or something.
Yeah, except it'll be actually recorded, or it's a KubeCon talk, and it will be shown at KubeCon. But since this coming KubeCon is a virtual event, they're having all the speakers pre-record. So this will be like tonight. It'll be in 16 hours. It'll be kind of this private pre-recording, and then.
Okay.
And so.
Yeah, I was confused with the dates and everything. It's
right. Yeah, because KubeCon isn't for a little while yet. So.
Yeah, but sorry for interrupting. So no question. No.
No. Yeah, very good.